Alright, the massive one. I know I'm getting this recap to you a little late. Apologize for that. Schedule rather busy last night, as it was this morning. So it's now almost 9 p.m. and I'm finally getting everything caught up. So yeah, the goal is to be able to play the whole thing at 100, which is right before your breaking point here. And yep, you want to make sure that you're able to tap the whole time. If you haven't done so, like, try nodding your head along with your foot. Sometimes that really helps me when I'm doing stuff like that. You might also, I was going to say, like, you could like tap the guitar with your hand on the downbeats, but that might make things a little bit too complicated with this one. So basically you are going up root note to octave in like a scale shape for each pair of bars. So these two bars, you got your A scale, or A minor scale. Man, I can't believe I said that. A minor scale, not the A scale. That's a different scale. So go up the A minor scale, come down the B Locrian shape, up the C scale, down the D Dorian shape, and so on. So basically after every two bars, you're going to shift your hand up and look at it in a new position. So go ahead and play it at 100, and if you need to play it slower and work it up, that's fine. Something like this, doing the start at 60 and working it up by fives every time you go through it 100% correct, that might be asking a bit too much. It's quite long, and that leaves a lot of room for error. So for things like this, you may be going up by 10s, to 20s, 10s or 20s, something like that. That might be a more appropriate thing to do. Try it at 100. Back it off to 90 if you need to. Back it off to 80 if you need to. So maybe like for this one, try starting it at 100. You probably already practiced. But here's an idea anyway. So yeah, start it at 100. See if you can do it. If you can't, you're having trouble, go ahead and back off the speed a bit until you find a speed that you can do it. And then start scooting up that way. So here we go. I forgot to change amp settings here. God, I ended up tweaking my upper back today doing suitcase carry. And I don't know why. I thought my form was fine, but I guess I did too many back and forths, a little green turf area. So I learned a lesson today, what I shouldn't do. At least not that many repetitions. Anyway, so yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and I don't know if you could hear that. So many people out in this parking lot, when they try and get out of their parking spot, instead of like kind of nudging the gas and try and find some traction, they just floor it, and you can hear the just. It's rather amusing. Alright, here we go. Working on cleaning up to pull off when you transfer string to string. So the tip was, think of it like you're moving an entire chord shape when you change strings. So instead of thinking like you're going to be doing one after another, you want to think of it like you're just moving everything as a unit. Yes, 160, that's right, that's the goal, or the speed to work up to. Alright, so here it is at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, so we also talk more about like the index finger. So all the high strings you seem to be muting fine already. So now you're just gonna concentrate a bit more on getting your index finger up underneath the lower pitch string that your index finger is adjacent to. Another thing I'm doing here when I'm changing, especially on like these slow speeds here, I'm doing a quick touch with my right hand. So like a quick little bloop. So this way the side of my hand here is muting the strings as I transfer over. This way it helps eliminate hearing an open string as I'm changing strings. So it's a pretty fast one. I'm not sure how much I do that on the faster speeds, but that's definitely on the slow speed I'll do that. Alright, let's I'll go to 120 next. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was not very well timed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I blew the pinch. There it is. Alright, here we go. 160. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, when I start speeding up, I'm not doing that quick mute with the right hand. It's really just on the slower speeds because you have so much time in between the string change. There's a good chance you might get an open string ringing out. But yeah, as I go faster, I'm able to get my fingers to the next spot in enough time that you don't really hear any open string stuff if it even happens. Probably is happening a little bit, but you end up getting down fast enough that you can't pick it up. And then with the well, let's do this. You can double check your work right now. So with the 7th chords, you're sticking in key, and if you are adding a 7th interval, also known as a major 7, it's a half step back from the root note. If you're adding a minor 7, also known as a flat 7, that is a whole step back from the root note. So position number 1, you had the C chord, so it kind of reviews what we did or what you figured out yesterday, and then I'll do the rest. And then you can check your work with the chord diagram stuff. Now, if you haven't written anything out yet, don't watch this. Unless you're going to like figure out the chord and then see, you know, what I got. And I get that. That would be fine. No cheating. No looking ahead. Well, this, I guess, the first few chords here you already got. So yeah, the C major chord, we start with that. We look for the octave of the root note being repeated, which is on the B string. And we're going to take that note and drop it to the very next note in key, which happens to be a B. And because we dropped that down a half step, it is a major 7, C major 7. So D minor is our next open chord, our next triad. So again, we identify where is the octave of our root note being repeated, which is right here on the B string. So once again, we have an octave being repeated on the B string. So what comes before D? C. And that goes back a whole step. So we added a minor 7, also known as a flat 7, to a minor triad. Gives us a minor 7 chord, D minor 7. So you can bar the high E and B, or you can do 3 fingers like this. Sometimes I can get it to sound better this way versus this way. I notice like a lot of times if I bar it, I'll accidentally, can you hear that? Here I was like bending up a little bit, It's really easy to bend your strings out of tune down here, ball barring. I mean, the pressure's got to be dead on. But when I use extra fingers, I can do a better job of not putting too much pressure on the strings and bending them out of tune while bending it on the actual fret itself. Crazy how that can happen, huh? You can actually bend a note out of tune by putting too much pressure on the fretboard. And moving on, so the E minor chord is next. So yes, the easy way is, again, find the octave being repeated, which is on the D string, drop it down, the E note down to a D note, and there we go, the E minor 7. The other way is that, where you take the E minor chord, you can do it this way and add the pinky. It's easier for me to hold it this way. So yeah, we add our flat 7th interval, the D note, on the B string, and that gives us a much prettier, sadder sounding E minor 7. So F major is next. So changing this one, yeah, we look for an octave to be, this is being repeated, an octave that's being repeated. Looking for a root note being repeated an octave higher. That's what I meant to say. So that's on the D string. So what comes before F? E. That is a half step back, which gives us a major 7th interval, or just a 7th interval, natural 7. So that gives us F major 7. The easiest way to do it is just starting on the D string and go 3, 2, 1, 0. That's probably the more popular way of playing an F major 7 in an open position. Technically, this is not an open position because there's no open string. So, next we have G major chord. So, looking for an octave, again, of the root note being repeated, we can change, which would be here on the E string. We've got to drop the G down to an F, which is whole step lower, which is a minor 7. So, when you add a flat 7 or a minor 7 to a major triad, giving us the intervals 1, 3, 5, flat 7, that's the dominant chord. So it's not going to be a G major 7, it's just straight up G7. You can say G dominant 7, but the easiest way is to say just G7. So, using this shape, the most commonly used one, I think, we'd end up having this. However, that's kind of a pain in the ass. So I'm going to just do it this way. And that's the easier way of doing a G7. So it's kind of like taking this other commonly used G chord, and yeah, we have the open B string instead of playing a D note on the B string. So we got B here, two places the third interval is being played. Alright, so next we have A minor. So the octave of the root note on the G string. So we're going to take the A and drop it down to the G note. And that gives us an A minor 7. Somebody's out there driving like a fool again. Goodness. Another way you could do it, you could add a G to the high E string. And that's another open position A minor 7 chord you could use. You can double up the G's. So a couple options there. Alright, now good old B diminished. So we got our B diminished, the diminished triad, 1, flat 3, flat 5. So the octave of the root note is here on the G string. And what comes before B? A. So we need to drop that down from B to A, which is a whole step. We're going to hold it like that. It is not an open chord because there's no open string. But then again, that's not an open chord either. But we're in the same area anyway. So we got the two names for this. You can call it the B minor 7 flat 5 or B half diminished 7. And there we go. Alright. Well, if you have any questions with that, please let me know. And I'll see you again Monday.